Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. Well, David Zaslav said at a recent media conference, rebuilding DC and Warner Brothers is more challenging than we thought. We have an awful lot to do and an awful lot to undo. This is bounding into Comics' version of this article, but this is sourced off of Deadline, which actually is a fuller description of what they all talked about. So we're going to cover this in Deadline, and I'm also going to give you a link to what he said exactly in his own voice at the conference. It's 45 minutes long. I think you'll find it really interesting if you want to know more and more about this. All right, before we get into the article, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. You guys have been great. The channel is growing. I really do appreciate you. David Zaslav on DC Rising, ad market tanking, HBO's losses, and Warner Brothers Discovery's new streaming playbook. David Zaslav basically did a John Dutton when he said, "We have an awful lot to do and an awful lot to undo." Credits to Kevin Costner's Yellowstone patriarch in the season 5 premiere, with a shout out to Paramount show. Zaslav's hard-to-wrangle ranch is a merged Warner Brothers Discovery. Quote, "It was much more challenging than we thought. You opened up the closet, things fell out. We are fixing them. Some assets are better than we thought at the core. The talent is better than we thought," meaning employees. "But there was a lot that was unexpectedly worse than we thought. For me, I don't want to buy a company that's really well run. It's hard to make it better. So every day we open a closet and something comes out," the chief executive said during a wide-ranging keynote conversation at the RBC Media Conference, touching on streaming, rethink, overpriced sports, challenged advertising, DC leadership, theatrical windows, and linear television. He retreads some ground from a recent earnings call, his goal to convince Wall Street to look beyond the noise of cost cuts, layoffs, and canceled shows. Because they have had a lot of cancellations, they have had a lot of write-offs, a lot of extra expenses, more expenses than they anticipated. They just keep moving along. The company fell short of Wall Street expectations last quarter due to a slower advertising and merger restructuring charges. Yeah, there were a lot of slower advertising results, and Zaslav warned very clearly that because of economic conditions in the world, recession and such, they're going to be selling less advertising. Not a lot they can do except get even more efficient. In streaming, the company has a chance to remake it. The business logic behind streaming has been, quote, irrational, with companies spending massively on content for low-fee products that didn't end up attracting enough subscribers to make them profitable. That's become clear in a stream of financials this year. Consumers churn in and out. Right now, we can get 30 million people with Euphoria, but they can come for 2 months, watch Euphoria, and then leave. Do we want to create incentives for people to be there? There are a lot of companies that have a business where the majority of people are there for the year. He said HBO spent $2.5 billion on content in 2019 and made $2.5 billion that year in profit. Last year, he said, it spent almost $7 billion on content and lost $3 billion. Quote, "I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that," he said, noting all those direct-to-streaming movies just thrown right on top of the service. Quote, "Our whole library went on HBO Max. We weren't selling any of it, but it was all on there. We looked and we said, most of that is not being watched, or we don't think anyone is subscribing because of this. Well, they could sell it non-exclusively to other outlets and get money from that, and also not lose any revenue from streaming." Coming in the spring, a new direct-to-consumer launch combining Discovery Plus and HBO Max will be out. A free service may join the premium and ad-light tiers. Quote, "We can create a Tubi and a Pluto, but instead of buying content from someone else to populate our advertising video on-demand service," meaning it'll be free to have the streaming service just like Tubi or Pluto is, but there'll be advertising in it. So he's saying rather than them having to buy content to create one or more of those free services, they can create the content themselves because they already have it. That said, he called the ad market very weak, even worse than it was during COVID. Europe is better than the US, he said, where advertisers are waiting to see how things play out for the economy, inflation, interest rates, and consumer spending. The company reported 94.9 million direct-to-consumer subscribers in the third quarter, primarily spanning HBO and the Discovery Plus and HBO Max streaming service. On theatrical windows, Zaslav is a huge fan of them. Quote, "I've seen the data. A movie that opens in theaters performs 5 times as well as when it goes directly on streaming. The economic return when you open something in the theater. Direct to streaming was just a way to drive subscribers to drive the share price. Subscribers today are like clicks in the 90s. People were running around buying companies and aggregating clicks. Getting likes and clicks and reshares on content, it ain't revenue. And back in the day when the internet started, people were spending millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to get more clicks, selling their companies, getting investors interested, but it wasn't generating any actual revenue. And that's what Zaslav is saying about subscribers. For DC, a hugely undervalued asset. That's what Zaslav says. Disney did a wonderful job with Marvel, but if you look at Marvel and DC 10 years ago, you would have said DC is as good or better, but Marvel is a connected universe. It has a Bible. The key was having one person following everything. All of Marvel in one place. You don't wake up and find that there's been a Batman TV show someplace. What it means by that is other divisions at Warner Brothers used to have the authority that if they wanted to do a Batman show and it had nothing to do with the continuity of where Batman is at or the DC universe is at in the film or TV division, just all this different production could take place and there was no coordination controlling what would and wouldn't be done. DC is one of the biggest opportunities for this company. Our company is a creative company, and so we found two great guys, filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran, started as studio co-chairs this month. You will see a lot of growth around DC. We haven't done a Superman movie in 13 years. The idea is to try to drive the hell out of DC, which is what they're going to do. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is coming in 2023. On sports and the NBA, Zaslav says, on sports, we're a renter. It's not a good business to be a renter. Any new NBA deal would look a lot different and hinted again at the NBA on HBO Max with an expanded role for the Bleacher Report and House of Highlights. We have enough sports without having to do a new deal with anybody. We would like to do a deal with the NBA, but you will see us being very disciplined on sports. He said we don't need the NBA. And really his key on that is he said younger people are not on cable. He knows that they're not. So he doesn't want to have NBA exclusively on cable and not be able to offer it on streaming where people are actually able to consume the content and pay him for it. We'll see what he gets with that. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. We'll include links to this interview so you can kind of hear him himself. You just click play earnings call and it opens right up and you can listen to the whole thing. No charge. You don't have to sign in or anything like that. And let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.